So then the next match, Greg Valentine versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This one goes for 9 minutes and it ends when Valentine reverses a flying crossbody into a pinfall for the victory, similar to the end of the Wendy Richter versus Lalani Kai match at WrestleMania 1, although a little bit more expertly executed, one might say. Stephen, your thoughts on this one?
This is Steamboat's last WWF match for 3 years. And
wow.
He didn't do anything at all until January 89, which I guess was back in Crockett by that point for his famous run with Flair. I thought this was okay, a few good moments, a few bad. As we talked about earlier in the show, the crowd didn't care, and that is really difficult. I mean, I was thinking about during some of these matches, would these have been better in the kind of behind closed doors era, the pandemic era? Would it actually have been not as bad without a crowd at all, or some? I mean, I didn't really like this Thunderdome sound effect thing, but it was like they were performing in front of no one, and I think maybe I could have got a bit more on board with that if there had been no one there. This was okay. Steamboat gave the crowd a little wave at the end, but again, no one reacted to it. And Donald Trump was shown for the first of a few times on this show.
Yeah, I thought this was poor. I thought this was bobbins. I know that you guys have ragged on Steamboat a lot, and when I've heard you rag on Steamboat, I've always thought it was a bit unfair because I always remember him as being pretty decent, but he really isn't. I thought he was shocking in this match. Botches all over, really clumsy. Do you know what? I quite like Greg Valentine. Disgusting hair, absolutely disgusting. And one of the notes that I've got, so in the last match, the Dino Bravo Don Morocco, Dino Bravo is disqualified because he pushes the referee, yeah?
Yeah.
Valentine pushes the referee in this match. And doesn't get disqualified. Shocking. Another note that I've got regarding the commentary, obviously this is the external occipitable, I can't even say it,
protuberance area.
Yeah. I've heard that before. I love Jesse's comeback as back of the head for you normal people. That's just class. And then I've got another note as well that Steamboat manhandles the referee. So why is that not a disqualification? Commentators say that he won with a handful of tights. Don't get any tights at all. It's a completely legitimate pinfall. I really didn't like this. And I really thought I was going to, because I quite like Greg Valentine. I've always, I've had fond memories of Steamboat and thought that he's been unfairly treated on this podcast. But it turns out that everyone was right and I was wrong.
I'm not sure I've heard any of the Steamboat hatred.
They don't like him on this podcast. They don't like him.
Oh, really?
I think Old Man and Tom in particular do not like Ricky Steamboat. They really don't like him. I've been much fairer in my assessment of him. As a person, first of all, they don't like him. They think he's a bit of a fraud, and I think that's fair. I think it's probably true because he's always been portrayed as the family man, the nice guy. He's had 5 wives and countless children to those 5 wives, so I would suggest there's probably some truth to the fact that he's not quite the family man that they suggest he is. But also they don't really like him. They don't really think he's actually that good. They don't really rate him. And I can understand why a little bit. There's a kind of I think it's a similar thing to Ric Flair, to be honest. There's just a feeling that they just do the same things over and over and over and over again. There's no variety in their matches, and their matches are always the same. And their matches, even in their own matches, like even in individual matches, they just keep doing the same spots over and over again. With Ricky, it's the really impressive, don't get me wrong, deep arm drags, but he does it like 15 times a match, and you're like, well, we've seen it all before. He does the chop off the top rope. We've seen it all before. And I know all wrestlers kind of do that, but they in particular, I think, are so lauded for what they do, and they also don't seem to, within that framework, they don't seem to like mix it up very much. So I don't know. That's I'm trying to interpret a lot of the criticism that's come at them from some of us, and I've been involved in that at some points. Although the Ric Flair Ricky Steamboat match at Spring Stampede '94, for example, I thought was really great. So I'm not completely kind of against everything they've done, but I think that would be where the criticisms come.
It's an interesting one because I watched, obviously I saw that seeing the Flair Steamboat series, the ones that everyone talks about for the first time, I suppose, when the Flair Anthology came out, whatever that would have been, maybe 2003, 2004. But actually, watching them back during the pandemic, and I watched all the Meltzer 5-star stuff, the best Flair match of '89 is him and Funk. And I think the big thing about that match is because it's different. I don't like I Quit matches. I don't like hardcore wrestling at all. It was hardcore-ish. But that's by far that's the best version of Ric Flair I've ever seen, because he was closer to Steve Austin than he was kind of begging off heel Ric Flair. Like, he was a beloved babyface. He was a bit of a hard guy, really, and he beat up Funk, and it was a great match. And I do like Steamboat, but I think perhaps some of the stuff that's lauded perhaps doesn't age quite so well. I think it's probably not unfair to say.
And I think the other thing is that the quality. And I've got WrestleMania 1. We spent about 20 minutes talking about how we can't really review that show in the way we're going to, because it's not really fair. It was never intended to be watched through the eyes that we're watching them with. And I think that a lot of the plaudits that both Flair and Steamboat get is not just about what they do in the ring, but how it's received by the crowd, and the fact that, you know, Steamboat is absolutely beloved pretty much anywhere he goes. So especially if you consider him not to be quite the family man he's portrayed as, you know, in on screen, the fact that he's able to kind of inspire that universal love is actually a real skill, and is actually one of the reasons why he's considered so good. Equally with Flair, the fact that he could effectively be face or heel wherever he went, depending on who his opponent was, and the fact that he could get that reaction and sell all those tickets is a part of the overall package that people are judging him on, which is a little bit different to things now, basically.
Yeah,